simply to look at systems in terms of implementing healthcare. We've been talking about universal healthcare. People are not into it, or they're not patiently waiting, but it really takes the whole system to change. It's similar to women's health. Okay, we have to treat women's health in a continuum. We cannot isolate women as aging, as women menopausal, or reproductive age, but the whole thing. The complexity of that would matter because you have to look at social roles, environmental exposures, as you have mentioned as theme of this She Matters forum, and the biologic transition. And they all shape the health outcomes for women. So I started with social determinants, and now we're going back to that as component of the continuum. So let's look at each stage. I will not probably focus on specific disease, but rather looking at the gaps as we experience here in the Philippines. So prenatal childhood and adolescence, meaning prenatal influences. So even before the girl or the child was born, there are influences that would affect the growth. Well, it doesn't matter if that would be a boy or a girl. But the epigenetic programming of chronic disease is very crucial as well in the future health outcomes of that child to be born. Maternal stress, you know this, OB, psychiatrists, primary care physicians, psychologists, etc., are looking at maternal stress because it also matters in the outcome of the child. Infection, and again, environmental exposure. I think Renzo will talk about this. There is really a very poor women health outcome because of environmental exposure or ills in the environment. Now, if you talk about childhood health, we talk about growth and development, both psychological or physical health. Transitions in adolescence, especially in imbibing health behaviors. Endocrinologists are here. You know that obesity in childhood, if not addressed, then it will progress eventually as they grow old. So again, those kinds of understanding should be in the healthcare. It should not be in silos. Now, we try to look at the well-being of children across 40 low-income to middle-income countries in Asia Pacific. You cannot see it properly, but I just want to emphasize that maternal mortality is high because our children are getting pregnant at a very young age. So around 2.9% of our MMR in the Philippines is contributed because of um, pregnancy in the young. I think that's the message. So because of that, you have poor outcomes and risk in sexual and reproductive health and rights. Okay, now let's zero in about youth. I think you have to understand this, even if you're not pediatrician. It's getting higher. The number of adolescents getting pregnant is getting higher. Sexual age of first sexual contact is also going younger. So you would imagine infections because of unprotected sex. If you have young children getting pregnant, you would have young children having HIV. So the magnitude of that would really mean even those who might be practicing adult health, we have to look at child health. So there, at the age of 19, that's the first birth median age for our adolescents. And we have poor health systems to address this. Look at their difficulty. Human resource related issues, competencies in handling these types of patients, especially that we are archipelagic country. So experts in adolescent health, for example, in pediatrics, probably they are not in isolated areas. And that's where most of our young adolescents getting pregnant are. Although there are a lot of young pregnant women also in the urban area, especially in NCR and in Davao. But the cost of care contributes a lot to the failure or to the unsuccessful addressing the burden of disease caused by young pregnancy. Now let's look at gender identity. People do not like to understand this, but as healthcare provider, you have to know it because the paradigm of gender and gender in general is changing as there are a lot of self-expression and identity orientation, right? So that's why you have LGBTQAAA+, because there are permutations. You have to know that because you're seeing patients that are not telling you what their orientation may be, and you may not be able to address their concerns. Okay, so here in NCR, we have the highest percentage of male and women who identify to be in the opposite of their sex assignment. So, in other words, these belong already to the LGBTQ community. And at the age of 15 to 19, ewan ko bakit 19 lagi, children now has that kind of assertion about their sexuality. So we really have to understand how health is being affected by social paradigms. Okay, reproductive years. I think I would want to focus because this is what we know very much, would be on how we understand the connectivity of your fertility with social constructs, as well as maternal health with psychological well-being and the postpartum mental health. Now, if you look at the difference, and I don't need to belabor you with understanding the graph, but there's a very huge difference in terms of your estimation of leading causes of DALYs among women. If you look at that side, you would see musculoskeletal disorders more than men. Ano natin na? Nakita nagkaka-arthritis pa ng menopause. What else? Look at number 2, mental health. So women deny that they have depression. Women deny that they have psychological issues. They cry at night, they cry inside. So this is something that we have to further develop in our health system. Okay, in our antenatal delivery and postnatal care, we're very good. I think because of the distribution support or non-physician birthing homes, non-physician owned birthing homes. And the local government is good in this because of the money they get probably with PhilHealth. Services follow if there would be money trail. Unfortunately, don't quote me on that. So, maliit lang yung sasabihin ko. But that is the truth. If there is no